Welcome to No Gate Fees with Brent Martineau on the Action Sports Jax 24.
Well, there's the festivities that took place
yesterday right here at the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Stadium, Bragan Field, baseball grounds, now VyStar Ballpark, by the way. And that's Alex Lodise hitting a grand slam to walk off the Florida Gators. What a night for him. And just part of the fun here today on No Gate Fees, presented by Nimick Buick GMC, Baker Sports, and Perfect Rack Billiards. We are live at the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Ballpark, and welcome to No Gate Fees. By the way, we weren't late getting in. I know every time we're a little bit late to a show, that means I'm usually late, not late. We had a little gremlin that we had to figure out. We wanted to make sure we got that fixed. So sorry for a little bit of a delay. Let's call it a rain delay, even though it's a beautiful day here in Jacksonville on No Gate Fees here on this Wednesday, March 26th. We're going to be joined by Florida Atlantic softballers in just a bit, a Jacksonville contingent coming up in a few minutes. And we, of course, will have our Committed to the Uncommitted, presented by Nimick Buick GMC. We also will have our Coach of the Week, presented by Perfect Rack Billiards, and we will highlight our top 5 teams in the area in private school baseball, public school baseball, and overall in softball as well. So we'll get people mad at us for how we rank the teams. Coming off spring break in softball, and the baseballers, they usually play through spring break, and we had some fantastic action, really good games. So we'll highlight some of that here on the show today as well. Welcome aboard. And well, I think I'm about 20 feet from home plate or so from where Alex Lodise hit that shot yesterday. Hit it to the new area out here in right field at the baseball grounds. It was a no-doubter. And if you haven't heard yet, well, you're not paying attention. If you're watching this show, you've probably heard. But Lodise beats the Florida Gators, local guy from Bartram Trail. And what a night for that young man, a night to remember forever. No matter whatever happens in his baseball career, this one might be the best night of all. He hits for the cycle, and the home run, the grand slam to walk it off was the one that finished off the cycle. And on top of that, he does it all in his hometown. Oh, by the way, he went 4 for 5 on the night and is hitting .491 on the season. Unbelievable start to the year for Alex Lodise. And you're talking about a guy who's a local player and part of a big local contingent that's playing at FSU. We have a couple of guys, obviously, at Florida as well. So it was a fantastic sold-out crowd for that game last night. But now, all of a sudden, you're talking about a player in Lodise that really came on strong last year after he started his career at the University of North Florida, helped the Noles to the World Series, played well there too. And right now he's putting himself right in the mix for, what do they give, the Golden Spikes Award, right? The best player in the nation. Few people are having a better year, or at least a better start to the year than Alex Lodise. A couple of things on the show before we get down to Florida Atlantic. We asked today, we always do a topic, right? And so we asked today, in the inspiration of Alex Lodise's big night, what are some of the big days that you've seen in high school? I know this one came in college, but obviously celebrating high school sports, and specifically baseball and softball, but it doesn't have to be. There was some unbelievable performance in all sports, and so we'll share those throughout the show as well. We got some pretty good answers, and I'll even get to some of them right now because Chris Ryer said John Wolford against Clay High for Bishop Kenny his senior year. That was at 73-72 or 74-73 game. He had 700-plus yards and 10 touchdowns. Yeah, that one counts. Let's see. What else do we have? Hey, we got a Creekside mention here. Tracy says, March 27th, my nephew Caleb Meesterhands, a pitcher at Creekside High School, pitched a complete game no-hitter with only two walks against Nice. What makes the story extra special is his twin brother, Seth Meesterhands, was the catcher for the whole game. Cool deal. Meesterhands are good kids. So that was a cool moment for them. And we have a fun one from Transfer Judge. Last year I was able to sneak a Diet Coke into a beachside baseball game. Well, that's a big win. How about Michael says, last year Camden Harnage had 3 walk-off hits in 4-game period, one against Trinity, number 1 team at the time, against Baker County, and then Inglewood, and it all came in a week. So having 1 walk-off is special. 3 almost back-to-back-to-back was kind of crazy. And a lot of people brought this one up just last year. I know recency bias kind of plays into it, but this one will live on for a long time in Jacksonville, too. Aiden King, who plays for the Florida Gators, played for Bishop Snyder. How about last year in the playoffs against Providence, 2 for 3, a home run and a double, struck out 20. And Kyle also says, I asked both coaches how many runs he would have given up, literally no defense behind him. They said 1. If he pitched in that game and he didn't even have a defense, they would have given up 1 run in that game, which is an interesting way to look at it. And then he said Walker Scheller, throwing back in the day in the Final Four for Ponte Vedra, he was a dude as well. Back-to-back days for Scheller when I think they won that state championship at Ponte Vedra. So we'll get to some of these as well as we continue on. But it looks like the girls are ready down in South Florida. And we're going to go down the campus of Florida Atlantic if we can. Hamby, you got that all figured out? You ready to rock and roll? What else we got here?
Yes, sir.
Ashley Connor throws her first complete game, no-hitter against Baker County back in 2021 for a district title. I'll give you another one. Mallory Forrester from Middleburg struck out 21 against Providence. So, see, we've got a lot of these kind of outings, and we'll talk about them as we continue to go. And right now we're going to go down to South Florida. Hope everybody can hear me down there and say hello to a couple of Kylies and a Sierra. We're not going to ask for everybody to spell either. In the middle, Kylie Hammonds. And surrounded by Sierra Gibson out of Oakleaf, Kylie Hammonds from Creekside, and also Kylie Chanel from Keystone Heights. Ladies, thanks for taking a few minutes. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hopefully it's coming in good. This is a nice place for a nice little setting for a show today, isn't it? Here in your hometown, you know all about this place.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Well, you guys are the Jacksonville contingent down at Florida Atlantic. You guys have been having a fantastic season, and I'll let each of you talk a little bit about it. But what's it like playing down there, having some familiar faces? Let's start on the right with Kylie Chanel.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, like, weather here every day, even the days that it's not beautiful weather. It's like you still are surrounded by amazing people, and just like being like I played them in high school and stuff like that, so we kind of know a little bit about each other, and we just get to learn more about each other each and every day.
Kylie Hammonds, between obviously high school ball and travel ball, you see a lot of different people along the way. How many stories are you guys sharing about back in the day when you played against each other?
All the time. We talk about it all the time. We'll talk about how Kylie beat me junior year of high school. We'll talk about how she beat me in the district championship. You got it all on video. So, yeah, we talk about it a lot.
Listen, I debated whether we should bring Sierra Gibson even on the show because I know Mike Haley couldn't get her out ever. So, but we invited you anyway, Sierra Gibson. How are you doing down there, and what's it like to have some familiar faces?
I love it. I mean, it's nice to know some of the girls and played against them for a long time. So, yeah, just love it.
And Sierra, you guys are good too. Like that's part of this, right? I mean, you guys are having a fantastic year. What has made this team of Florida Atlantic so good?
I mean, just the culture. Like the girls are so like family oriented, and that's all I could ask for.
Kylie Hammonds, you're watching a little of this Creekside Oakleaf video. I don't know if I want to look at this again, actually. But I don't know if you can see it. I can see it. And we were just talking about, like, big performances. And, you know, obviously, I don't know if you guys saw what Alex Lodise did, but you just heard me talking about him. You guys have, like, a favorite game back in your travel ball or high school game that you played in or what you delivered? Do you remember one?
I think for me, it was junior year winning the district championship. God, where were we? Might have been at Mandarin or something.
Or that Fleming or maybe. How about you, Kylie Chanel? You remember anything?
My junior year, I think it was the regional quarterfinals. We were playing Providence, and it was like the people that were there, the energy, like around the stands and stuff like that. It was just awesome.
Yeah, and by the way, you guys have all had moments that I've seen. I didn't watch Kylie Chanel play a lot, but I remember being at a Baldwin game with Keystone Heights, and obviously that atmosphere is insane, right? And you made a play out of shortstop, like foul line, left field, and I was like, that looks different. I don't think that's normal that shortstops are supposed to make that play. And obviously you've been able to carry that down to Florida Atlantic. How much fun are you having playing?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's awesome. Like backing up my pitchers, I kind of know what I'm gonna get when a certain pitcher goes up. I know that Jaden, I'm gonna get a lot more like shallow balls and stuff like that. So just knowing my pitchers and stuff like that, it's really easy to be able to read what I'm gonna get.
How different? And maybe you guys can all answer this one at a time. How different is college? compared to high school, and what is the difference maker for you guys?
I'll go. But I really think that the difference of college to high school is that like the competition you're playing, it's way faster. Like everyone's way stronger, and you just have to use your softball IQ a lot more. It's not just like going through the motions. It's really getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kylie?
I think just being able to adjust, like there's going to be lots of ups and downs, a lot more than there were in high school. So just being able to adjust and having the confidence and never like failure shaking you is definitely a key thing for me in college.
How about you, Sierra?
Honestly, they covered both of it, but I definitely agree about the competition. It's harder for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I look at all three of you guys, and everybody has their own journey, right? I mean, we're talking again. I keep bringing up Lodise because it's so fresh in my mind, but he wasn't like a crazy superstar in high school, and you get better as you go. I got to believe all three of you think, hey, you're way better now than you were your junior year of high school or your senior year of high school, even if it's just little nuanced things that you're better at or just bigger, faster, stronger. But how fun is the journey to see where you guys are right now? And by the way, like Sierra, that it's not even over, right? You've got more to the journey to kind of write.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like definitely hard. It's obviously fun, but it's just like the work that you put in it is what you get out of it. And it's so awesome to see like all the years coming up and leading up to college basically. And it's just like rewarding you. And it doesn't stop when you get here, but I mean, it's just, it's very, very rewarding.
Kylie, I know you've battled some injuries too, so I mean that's kind of part of the journey, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I don't want to think about it as a setback because I think everything happens for a reason, but it definitely has helped me grow so much, and it honestly is like a blessing because it just made me stronger in the end. So.
All right, I can't talk about like college and school and everything without asking about school, Sierra. Like, how's that part of it? If all the girls that want to play college softball, and they're watching in high school right now and looking up to kids like you guys. How's that balance? And what are you guys studying anyway? You could drop that in if you want to.
Okay, I'm studying communications right now. But the school part, it's definitely like you need to like lock in during school. Like you got to do it. But like when we see that the girls are looking up to us and everything, it feels good to be somebody's inspiration.
What are you guys studying, Kylie's?
I'm also a communications major.
I'm a finance major.
All right. Well, there's one smart one there. She's going to try to make the money.
Yeah,
I like that. Trust me, as a communications guy, I can tell you that finance thing is not a bad idea. Hey, I got how many times a week does Kylie Hammonds do a backflip at practice?
At least once.
Yeah,
I think someone asked me at least like once a week.
We're always like, Kylie, do a backflip. And she's like, no.
Well, people don't know this, but and I don't even really know what all this means, but I know she's a very good gymnast, a level 10 gymnast as growing up. And so you balanced both of those, Kylie, which do you see that pay off on the field? Not the backflips. You're not doing that around the bases or anything, but do you see some of the gymnastics translate to softball at all, play in the outfield?
Yeah, for sure. I think from gymnastics, I'd learned a lot of just perfectionism and just like knowing like how to move my body in like the most efficient way. So I think that's really paid off. And just honestly, like growing up doing crazy workouts has definitely made me stronger. So yeah.
What do you guys have coming up? Now you're in conference play and everything else. Like have you reset goals for this season? Or you guys already had established some goals at the start of the season team-wise? I don't know if this is a surprise to be where you guys are at, like right around that top 25, or did you guys expect it? Give us some insight on that from your perspective going into this year and kind of where you're at right now.
I don't think we ever just expected to be in the top 25 or be this good, knowing that we're a lot younger team, but I always think it was the goal to win conference, to be in top 25, to make regionals. So that's always been the goal from the start.
Yeah, Coach Jordan always says to be the last American team standing. So that's our goal.
Sierra, what's you guys go to all different places, obviously being in that conference. So do you have like a favorite road trip so far? Or, I mean, home games are great because that's a great part of the country that you guys are in. But sometimes the road is a lot more fun anyway, right? Because you all get to be together and maybe miss a class or two.
Yeah. I'd probably say when we went to Tennessee, play Austin P.
Tennessee was fun.
Tennessee was good.
Yeah. Stopped in Nashville, did a little bit of shopping.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it might not have been as fun for mom and dad.
Yeah.
Depends who got the bill.
Yeah.
It's Kylie Chanel, Kylie Hammond, Sierra Gibson. We've got Keystone Heights, Creekside, and Oakleaf. How much do you guys pay attention to your alma maters and how they're doing now that you're even a couple years removed from it?
I mean, people still reach out to me from high school and stuff like that. I had a friend, she's now on varsity in the high school, and I helped her grow into the game of softball. So I keep up with her a little bit. But yeah, they always reach out to me, and it's really nice hearing from them.
Yeah, same with me. Coach Neal always reaches out and try to keep up on Twitter since he's so active on that. So I'll keep up with the scores and how they're doing there.
Yeah.
We make it easy for the Creekside people, don't
Yeah,
we?
you do. I get all the videos too. So.
How about you, Sierra?
Yes. My coaches reach out sometimes, and they're always reposting on my videos on Twitter. So, yeah.
I think it was. I think your mom just emailed, and I was kind of in the middle of another show, but she mentioned that obviously we knew you guys were coming on today, and I know I brought Kylie's injury up, but you guys have all dealt with your own stuff, right? In terms of injuries, and Sierra, how is that? How challenging is that part of it? To kind of the mental part, and obviously you got to do the rehab to get back.
The mental part was rough. Like you had to find motivation somehow. But it was rough for me. Just trying to deal with that, and school was like, you know.
Yeah, you get a lot of support though. I mean, is that do you need the support, whether it's teammates or parents or coaches, to kind of work through some of those moments?
Yeah, you need a lot of support, in my opinion, especially when you're injured and you can't really do anything. So. And
Kylie, you did this. Did you have an injury as well, Chanel?
I did actually. Well, I had wrist surgery in the summer, so I was getting back into that. Yeah, I didn't get to play or practice or anything like that in the beginning of the fall for, I say probably like a month, and then I got slowly back into it and was able to play in the games.
All right. So what do you guys practice today, or what's the next? What's your kind of your daily routine here?
Yeah, we practiced this morning. We always get to practice in the morning, and then school in the afternoon. But tomorrow is a travel day for us, so we're up early tomorrow. Flight at 6 a.m. So
that'll be a sleepy one.
Yep, yeah, that's for sure.
I got one more for you guys, and then I'll let you go. You guys, well, maybe two more, but you have this Jacksonville area contingent here, but you've got people spread out that you played with, right, all over the place. And now with like the ESPN Pluses and everybody's got a stream of everything. I asked, did you follow your high schools, but are you following a lot of what else is happening in the softball world as the sport keeps growing? And obviously Jacksonville, this area produces a bunch of talent that you guys probably know. Do you keep up on that? Do you keep communication? How does that part work?
I mean, I think we always talk about people we've played with and like how they're doing in college and stuff like that. We're all friends with a lot of people, like people at Mercer and like other colleges as well. We're friends with them. So we kind of keep up with them on Twitter or Facebook, and like their family like reposting their success and stuff like that. So it's really cool to be able to follow them as well.
Yeah, and we all like share connections through travel ball or through high school. We all play with mutual friends. So it's fun to talk about that. And we're always on our phones pulling up ESPN Plus, watching our old teammates too. So.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got the start of a pipeline down there at Florida Atlantic. So maybe we get some more I mean, you guys going to do some recruiting for Coach and for everybody else? Maybe pull some more people down from this area.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha.
All right. A little bit of responsibility. I don't know if UNF and JU around here would like me to say that. But hey, they had their chance at U3. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kylie Chanel, Keystone Heights. Kylie Hammonds, Creekside. Sierra Gibson, Oakleaf. Everybody's proud of you. Keep up the good work, and we'll keep watching the Owls the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, good to catch up. Have a good rest of your day, and get to class. Get to class. That's right. It's fun. It's kind of an interesting Hamby back there to see these girls. They go to practice in the morning, school in the afternoon. I think a lot of people would maybe do the vice versa, right? Go to school in the morning, practice in the afternoon. Although it gets hotter and hotter right now. Like I'm sitting here in the heat. It's not even that hot. It's like 75. But I would say practicing in the morning is probably a better idea. So thanks to the folks down at Florida Atlantic for getting them all on the same page. I'm sure that's not easy to do with all their schedules, but pretty neat thing going on. And one of the things we've done on No Gate Fees, presented by Nimnik Buick GMC, Baker Sports, and Perfect Rack Billiards, is we like to do this like Action Sports Shacks on Campus deal. It's so fun to keep up. Like the last part you just heard there, I know they keep up with friends and peers and people from Jacksonville, and everybody roots everybody on. We try to do the same thing. Softball world, baseball world. We saw it firsthand last night, right? But we're seeing it. When you go see teams play teams, and there's usually some kind of connection there from Jacksonville. That's what happens when you have such fantastic talent coming out of this area. I always found that really fun in high school because, Hamby, and you know this, with the travel ball world the way it is, one of my favorite things about high school playing was seeing some of the kids that the kids would have played with that are now playing for, I don't know, whether it's Bartram or Bowles or Clay, or it seemed like there was always somebody on the other team that you knew, and you might not have seen since they were like 11 or 12 years old, and catching up with those folks. I think that's one of the best parts of high school sports in general. I remember just saying that all the time. It's like I just love watching, because kind of like you're watching the kids grow up, at least from a parental standpoint. I don't know if the kids enjoyed that as much as the parents, but I think that was a fun little catch-up opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, I think especially if you're seeing somebody once a year or you see them once every 3 years and, you have a memory of a game that you played against them a couple of years ago, fast forward to 3 years or whatever, now you're seeing them again. They're a totally different player. It's just cool it's hard to track growth in high school outside of your kid and his few friends or teammates that he's played with for many years. So if you're able to have any kind of recollection back to what a player used to be, any bit of context with in high school sports is always a thing that's going to enhance the viewing experience.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, update on Covenant. We didn't do that out of the gates. How are we doing?
We only had one game so far this week, and we got walked off.
You guys didn't play in spring break?
We had we played one game last week as well, and lost that one as well. So we're on a little bit of a losing streak. We've got to kick things into high gear for our district rankings, and so it's about to be crunch time, and we're somebody's senior night tomorrow night, so that'll be a fun one.
That senior night, though, coming up. How many? I mean, you're a young team. Do you even have? How many?
No, not ours. No, not ours. We're traveling to Menendez tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. So you're part of a senior. You got to wait that out a little bit. Hopefully, they don't have too many.
Yeah, we don't have a senior, so yeah, we don't have to worry about that one this year.
So you don't have, and is that because it's a new program, or did that just fall out that way?
Well, I think it's first year program, and they had only started the first year varsity program. They had only started a middle school program, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. So those kids are all middle schoolers, or maybe into freshman year right now. But we have nobody. We have one junior. So there are no older kids at the school who play the game of baseball.
That's wild. It's pretty odd. Like it's also very good for the future as you guys continue to build that. I can't see who says this. Billy, talk about Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp opening day. You can probably see it behind me, the big sign of the Jumbotron. Guess what? We're going to do an hour right after this. This show goes until 3 o'clock, and then we're doing a special hour on the Jumbo Shrimp 3 to 4. That's part of the reason we came out here. Just worked out perfect, too, that this is where the big moment, Alex Lodise hit the grand slam yesterday. Hamby, your thoughts on that, man? Did you see all that? I mean, as we keep saying, you can't get much better of a day than that. And this is a guy that's accomplished a lot so far. He had a hell of a season at UNF. He's had a heck of a season last year at FSU. He went to the Cape and played some games, and I heard did well there. And, I mean, look at what he's doing this season. It's not like he hasn't had good moments. This wasn't like a once-in-a-moment type of deal, and then you hit like 240, right? I mean, he's hitting 491. His numbers are ridiculous. And then he does this in front of the home crowd, hometown at least. He said he had like 30-plus people here at the game, and a lot of the local guys did. I mean, just what a thrilling moment. What a cool moment. Everybody can get themselves into that, like his body, because I think they've dreamed about it.
I have.
Now, none of it usually happens, but it actually happened for him yesterday, which is just amazing.
It is, and it's like, you almost don't even give him enough credit for coming back, even though he played at UNF. Anytime you're coming back and playing in front of hometown family, hometown friends, like there's a certain level of angst about that, I would imagine. Maybe, he's an exception, but yeah, he might have had 30 people there, but how many people in that stadium had watched him play before and knew him and all of that? I bet you it was a lot more. And I mean, that's just it's a clutch gene. I think I want to know the count that he was in that last debut. Obviously, with the infield dragged in with the tie game, it must have been a situation where he was kind of, expecting dead red on a heater, but golly, I mean, he didn't miss it either. It wasn't no cheapie out in right field because you got to get it up too. That's a lot of these, college stadiums, I forget what, you probably know, but FSU's right field looks like, but you got to get it up there a ways.
Yeah, well, this one here at the baseball grounds, I'm looking at the right center wall. Obviously, it's 400 to center. It says 365. Now, this hit the bleachers. I can't see the 321 down the left field line, but there's something in my way. I'm assuming it's like 320, but that hit like the fifth, sixth row into the bleachers, and it's about a 10-foot wall now at the very least, it looks like, to get up there. So, yeah, I mean, and he knew it. I'm still convinced the ball flies like crazy in college baseball. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it could have been a sac fly, and you could have won it, but to finish off the cycle and everything like that was pretty awesome. A couple other things about unbelievable performance. We had some Derrick Henry, over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns against Jackson. I saw a lot of Derrick Henry ones now. That was pretty good, too. And we mentioned Johnny Wolford from the football field. If you have some more, let us know, and we can jump back in with some of these. There's just a question I have out there on social media, and it's best performances you've seen. We brought up Aiden King. I think everybody has a legendary performance that they talk about, and it's not necessarily from them, but somebody else that they've seen in person. We've obviously covered a lot of high school sports now, so you see a lot of things. I mean, I watched Jimmer Fredette play high school basketball up in New York, so obviously that was good. I watched Rocco Baldelli play in high school baseball back in Rhode Island. Derrick Henry, obviously. I mean, if you watched Tim Tebow play in high school around here, you'd have those moments. And baseball, sometimes it's a tougher deal to get those kind of statistics and have that kind of moment like he had out here today, or like an Aiden King did that we mentioned before. So send them in if you want. We'll keep jumping in on that topic a little bit here on No Gate Fees, presented by Nimick Buick GMC, Baker Sports, and Perfect Rack Billiards. Speaking of Perfect Rack Billiards, I could have gone I'm going to do 2 coach things here, and he doesn't even know it yet, but we're going to give the Coach of the Week to John Shave from Fernandina Beach and Perfect Rack Billiards helping us out this year during the show. $100 gift card to our Coach of the Week. And John Shave and Fernandina Beach, they have one of the most underrated programs in the area every year. I think there's a lot of respect for their program. But it's always very good. Remember they started like 10-0. They had a couple of tough losses in like a week's time, and now they've bounced back. They had a win last week, I think, against was it Columbia? I believe it was Columbia. They were down 13-0, man, in that game and came back 14-13.
That's crazy.
13-0 and came back 14-13 to end up winning it. Let me see. I remember Golf shared the box. I'm sorry, it was Trinity Catholic. It wasn't Columbia. And the box score is just insane. Trinity scored 7 in the first to take a 7-0 lead. Then in the third, they scored 6 more to take a 13-0 lead. And then Fernandina scored 7 in the bottom of the third. They go scoreless in the fourth and fifth. So you move to the 6th inning, and it's 13-7. And I'm sure, like, Trinity Catholic's like, well, we survived it. At least it was a bad inning, but we're okay.
Yeah.
Nope. 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th. So now 13-12. They go to the top of the 7th. No runs. 13-12 going in the bottom of the 7th. They would get 2 to walk it off and win 14-13.
Holy cow.
I mean, you know, we talk about memorable performances. That's what we're asking about here on the show today. Well, then there are memorable games, and everybody's been a part of those things too. And that will be one that probably will stand out for a long time when it comes to John Shave and Bernardina Beach. Definitely one of the most underrated coaches in the area that we have. So congratulations to their success. And he's going to get a $100 gift card and take the staff out to Perfect Rack Billiards down here in the Jacksonville area. And make sure you check them out for lunch. They're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Major League Baseball season opens up tomorrow. They've got the MLB packages, so if you're an out-of-town baseball fan, you can see all the games. Just head on over to Perfect Rack Billiards. Food's great, beer's good, drinks good, atmosphere's great. Check them out at Perfect Rack Billiards. Speaking of another coach, I want to give a shout-out to Jen Bucklew and the Fleming Island coaching staff. Jen just won her 100th game. We always think it's cool when the coaches win 100 games or reach those milestones. That's not as easy to do as you think. And the 100th win for Jen Bucklew, Fleming Island Golden Eagles. They're a good softball program and pretty good this season as well. They've had some fun games already this year. We'll see where they end up as the middle of the season is here in high school softball. But a big congratulations to Jen and Bear Bucklew, too. He deserves some credit. That's her husband. Good folks out there in Fleming Island. Good coach. And 100 wins for Coach Bucklew and the Fleming Island Golden Eagles. Celebrate those wins. And if you have any of those kind of milestones, send them in to us. We'd like to celebrate along with everybody else. Hey, I know, Hamby, you mentioned some big matchups around the area. We just had some, actually. Last night, we got Bartram Trail beating Providence 7-6, and I think that one went 10 innings, if I'm not mistaken. All of a sudden, Creekside is really hot. They won 3 games against 2 teams in the top 10 of the state last week in Daytona. They love that Daytona trip. They won it a couple years ago. They went 3-0 to get to the championship game and then lost in extra innings to Spruce Creek, who's one of the top 10 teams in the state. They'd already beaten Spruce Creek earlier this year. Creekside jumped from 66 to 31st in the state over the last week because now the FHSAA rankings are out every Tuesday, so you can follow along with that. And we will follow along with that and see how teams shape up. But that's a huge jump for the Creekside Knights. Baseball, I just mentioned. Trinity Christian and teams like St. John's Country Day beat Newman, who is number 1 in Class 1A. That's your class, Hamby. And I think they're out of the Fort Myers area, if I'm not mistaken. But they put a whooping on those guys. They beat them 9-2. With that 1 and 2 guy in the rotation and Stropman and Harris, they are as deadly as anybody. You don't want to face those 2 pitchers.
Nope.
Then you've got St. Joseph's Academy. They are 13-1, playing really well. They've got some big ones coming up, including today. I think they play at 4 o'clock today against Creekside. So that will be a good matchup against for St. Joseph Academy. What else?
Yeah, you mentioned Trinity. You mentioned Trinity. They got a 2-1 win over Florida Christian. So that's a big win right there. And there was one more else. Keystone Heights, a 13-5 win over Paxson. That's an impressive win right there. So I wanted to shout that one out. And then Ponte Vedra 1-0 over St. Augustine. We had a lot of one-run ball games yesterday in Jacksonville.
Well, that's that's an interesting thing. Here's one thing about the baseball matchups. It's a lot dependent on pitching, right? So who are you going to throw against who? And if you have a deep rotation, then that doesn't matter as much. But if you have 1 or 2 guys and you're playing in a 3-game week, that's kind of new this year where you're getting a lot more 3-game weeks. So that pitch, are you a Friday guy where you save your ace until Friday? A lot of coaches will do that. Are you a Tuesday guy? When do you start to get that in order for the postseason, depending on how that might match up? There's really a lot to think about. You're a pitching coach, Hamby, so you better start thinking about some of that stuff.
Oh, listen, we've had a 4-game week. About a month ago. It was our 3rd week of the season. So, yeah, that was about as gymnastics as it gets. However, you might hate this. I feel like pitching coaches, head coaches are probably more used to it than ever because we've got to do it in travel ball. We got to do 4 games. When we do these week-long tournaments and you got these very strict but good, I'll put that in there, very strict pitch count rules. for how many days rest you can take, because obviously your guys, your dudes are going to have to throw more than once in a week, and you've really got to navigate and map out. And obviously, as everybody knows in baseball, your plan is as good as you know what when your first guy goes out there and throws 35 pitches in the first inning of the tournament or what, or something like that. So I feel like we're more used to it now than ever. I can't speak for everybody, but I would assume a 3-game week is a lot easier to kind of navigate and at least comfortable. Is like, hey, you kind of searching for outs, and I like it because you have to think more. It's a lot easier when you got 2 games and you got 3 pitchers, and you're starting 2, and one's the mop-up guy, and you go from there. And now you get 3-4 games. You got to depend on 7-8 guys, or sometimes you got to know which guys. You got to know your players more, right? And to know which guy's going to be able to get you 3 outs the quickest way, or where you can kind of, because you never, if you say you got a 13-7 lead, and not saying, who was it? You said 13-7, the comeback the other day.
Yeah, Trinity Catholic over
right.
Fernandina Beach, and then Fernandina Beach comes back. Yeah,
right. I mean, we've been in games like that all season, where you'd like to. You have a game tomorrow. You got a big lead. The guy that you had penciled in, do you save him now? Do you keep him? You let him still go? Those are all kind of situation by situation decisions, and those are the fun ones, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. And you're either going to make the right decision or the wrong decision. Here's my advice, because I watch this closely sometimes, and I know the challenges of that. My thing is, if you're going to get one of your guys up to go warm up and potentially put him in, or you're thinking of put him in, if X guy doesn't work out, I'm just putting him in. Let's not wait to see if X guy doesn't work out. If because you try to bridge that gap, and I get it, I understand. I'm not telling you I'm not telling you I'm right. The record doesn't go on me. It's easy for me to say, but I always just think I always hate that situation where you're like, all right, we're going to try to squeeze out a few outs from this guy and not use, say, your closer or something like that. But if we get in trouble, we're going to bring him in. I'm like, well, why even get to the if we're going to get in trouble thing? Because guess what? In high school, in the later innings, you're likely going to get in trouble. So,
that's true.
So the guy's coming in anyway. Now he's coming into a mess, or now you might lose the game. And, I think baseball, especially, and softball too, I mean, they're so tight in some of these matchups that you just don't want to risk letting a game get away from you. I wouldn't want to do that. And you can't do that every time. You just can't do that with arms, and you're not going to win them all. You're going to win some that you probably shouldn't have won, and you're going to lose some that you probably should have won. That's just the nature of it, especially in high school sports. A couple other things to mention. You mentioned Trinity Christian. I knew I wanted to mention one. They lost to Jesuit. Jesuit's one of the top teams in the state. It was a 3-2 game. I think that really shows you just how good Trinity is, that they go toe-to-toe with that kind of team. The IMGs, the Jesuits of the world. That's it feels different level. And they've got the goods to be able to match wits with those teams. And as you get deeper and deeper, you're going to run into teams like that. Not necessarily Jesuit for Trinity Christian, but there's always a good team waiting around the corner in the playoffs, even for the best teams from Jacksonville. A couple of notes on softball. By the way, Creekside got a massive win over Middleburg last night, 4-2. Middleburg will now play Baker County, and that will be a fun one. Two of the top teams in the area. Bartram Trail lost 3-2 to Baldwin. Heck of a fight there. There's a lot of competitive games going on. We'll show you our top 5 in just a little bit. Might need a little explaining too. We'll see as we try to share some love throughout the area with some of the teams. But I still think we're trying to figure out where is the cream of the crop around here. I'll give you something that's interesting. Ponte Vedra, I only have one loss, and right now it escapes me who the loss is. I think Paxton beat him. Pretty sure Paxton beat him. And they only have one loss in softball. Now, if you look at the list of people they've beaten, it's not unbelievable. It's not a murderer's row. It's not the most challenging schedule, I would say. They do have a really good win against Creekside a couple weeks ago. But I looked at the rankings in the state playoffs, and they're ranked number 27 in the state, and I think that's the highest softball team in our area. If I saw that. I just looked quick, but highest softball team. But what I would say is I don't necessarily feel like Ponte Vedra is the best team in our area. So some of this is subjective, right? That's my thought. Necessarily the records might say some other things. So why don't we do that now? Why don't we get into some of our no gate fee, high five, power polls, and we'll start explaining. Got a feeling I get some people mad at me here sooner or later. I do want to say this specifically about softball. Most of the teams did not play over spring break. And so when we kind of start doing this like last night, there are still some games going on. And that's why we do it week to week. We'll take the whole thing into consideration as we keep going along the rest of the week. So here's what we did. And again, like I'm kind of like fighting against myself here. And I'm like, okay, you just told everybody Ponte Vedra's ranked 27th. Why aren't they in the top 5? Well, I don't always like the FHSAA. How's that for an answer, Hamby? Does that work?
That's valid, man. That is valid.
That's valid. But anyway, listen. The guy, the hometown people are going to be mad. Creekside, I know Neil's going to be texting any minute. That thread should look pretty good today. They just beat Middleburg yesterday. I didn't put them in. But again, that was a little bit, the games were going on as we were kind of doing this. So we'll see Middleburg if they bounce back against Baker County. Columbia I had like at number 2 before spring break and kind of dropped them down. Baker County I still feel like is the best team in the area. And they've got some losses now. They haven't been perfect. I think they're the best team. Atlantic Coast has won 12 in a row. Nobody else is doing that right now. Middleburg, obviously, they just lost, but the other losses are to like some out-of-area teams. They usually have pretty good programs. Baldwin, I almost moved them, and then I was like, well, they've won like 6 games in a row. So, and their losses aren't bad losses. Hard to move them, and I do think they're good. Paxton has entered the poll for the first time. Got to give them some love. I believe they only have 1 loss right now. So I wanted to share some love there. And again, Ponte Vedra, Creekside, Columbia, I think you could put them all in the mix. We're really hard to tell, but I like that. I like when you can't tell. I think Episcopal's right there too. Depends which day it is for some of these teams. So we'll continue to keep an eye on them and watch the rankings. Hopefully we're not missing anybody glaring out of that mix. Now for the public school, I keep Tokoi Creek and Clay. Now, hey, Hamby, here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised to get some feedback because people go back on these FHSAA rankings. Tokoi Creek's like 86th in the state or something. They're not the highest, not even close to we have like 6 teams in the area that are ranked, I think, in the top 50 in public schools. Maybe it's just like 4 or 5. But Tokoi Creek's like 86th. I still feel like the problem with Tokoi Creek a little bit is they had scheduled a couple of games, and the strength of schedule isn't playing in their favor because the teams that they were playing, their record isn't as good as like you would have predicted it to be. But I think they're good. We're going to get Clay and Creekside, by the way, later this week. I think that's a Friday game. Might be a tomorrow game, but it's not tomorrow. It's Friday. Fernandina Beach, we keep in there, give them some love. And I got Fletcher back in. I like the way they're playing. And so we give a little bit of love to Fletcher. And by the way, while some people might be mad that I don't have Creekside, and not everybody, in the softball one, the head coach at Creekside's really going to be mad that I've got Creekside in this poll.
He's not a fan.
They're 31st in the state. Listen, they're 31st in the state. They beat 2 top 10 teams last week. They've got one of the toughest schedules in the state, and they just whooped up Bowles pretty good yesterday, 11-2. I can't keep them out. I mean, I really think right now they're playing really good baseball, hitting a good stride, and their only loss in like the last couple of weeks is to ever since like Bartram. I think their only loss the last couple of weeks is to who was it? Oh, Spruce Creek on Friday. In an extra inning game. All right, let's give you the private schools before we do committed to the uncommitted. Trinity Christian, I moved St. John's Country Day back up. St. Joseph Academy. Bishop Snyder went on that 3-game slide. I bounced them out. I got them back in now. Providence, they lost yesterday to Bartram Trail. I've still got them in. And I think they've got a big one coming up later this week. They might be against, I think they might have St. John's Country Day this week, if I'm not mistaken. Episcopal, Bowles, UC, all in the mix. I will tell you this. I thought UC would be playing a little bit better, Hamby.
Yeah, I did too.
But they play a tough schedule, I know. But I thought they'd be playing a little bit better on the wins-losses side than they have so far. I do think they're a quality team, so we'll keep an eye on the private school stuff as well. All right, let's get to committed to the uncommitted, presented by No Gate Fees. And then we'll put a bow on this show before we do another hour from the baseball grounds. And we're going to introduce you to Haley Allen. And this is a cool story. Now, remember, we just did our scholarship program at Nimnik Buick GMC Monday with our football winner, $2,500 scholarship. So get your softballers especially. We've got a lot of baseballers, but I'll take more. Juniors and seniors that are under the radar in recruitment. And we want to shed some light on them. Well, how about Haley Allen from Bartram Trail? Now, the interesting part about Haley is we're not sure she's going to play college softball or not. But maybe she should, and maybe people should be looking at her. And the reason I say we're not sure is she wants to most likely go to an academy and be a pilot. So she's got big-time aspirations, which is really cool. But I'm telling you, with a resume like this, Coach Otero sends it to me. She's got 22 hits, only struck out 3 times. She's hitting .595 so far this season. In 12 games, she's walked 8 times, 13 stolen bases, 3 doubles and a triple. So .595, 667, 730 is the slash. I think that's pretty good. And she can play multiple positions on the field for you, too. So she's versatile, and she's part of that Bartram Bears lineup that makes them tick. So that is Haley Allen. And whether she chooses to play softball or not, somebody should probably give her a call and see if she's interested and maybe talk her into it. That's this week's Committed to the Uncommitted, presented by Nimnik Buick GMC. Baker Sports and Perfect Rack Billiards, big part of our show here on No Gate Fees on the last Wednesday in March. We flipped the calendar to April. We've got a month of the regular season to go, and it should be a lot of fun with all the talent we have in this area. Thanks to the FAU girls for coming on, or ladies, I should say, the softballers and the Jacksonville contingent. Good luck to everybody else the rest of this week and into the weekend, and we'll keep an eye on the next Alex Lodise type of moment that he had here. The young man out of Bartram Trail, plays for Florida State. What a night he had here yesterday. We're going to talk some Jumbo Shrimp baseball coming up in just a couple minutes with the Action Sports Shacks team, so you can leave it here at actionsportshacks.com. That is this week's edition of No Gate Fees